Okay, there's more to creating a construction project than just making a floor plan for it. And one of the parts that we have to do is look through codes and regulations before we can even start thinking about where we're going to build our projects. That's land use and development regulations. So they have what's called urban planning. You may have heard of it. And basically cities have set out what areas you can put what things in. You wouldn't want a industrial manufacturing facility right in the middle of a subdivision or right next to a school. So they set out what areas can be used for what kind of things. And these are used in different sizes. Municipalities just refers to all these different kind of things you could have, towns, counties, etc. And really the purpose is listed right here. I'm not going to read those all off to you, but basically it's just to make it a better place to live by organizing things into different areas. You should take notes on this slide. Pause if you need to. When we talk about land use regulations, they use the term ordinances as compared to codes, but that's basically that's the rules you have to follow. And again, you should take notes on this, and it tells us different things. How big can we build? How can you get driveways in and out of the property? What do you have to do? What are all the rules? For every area you're looking at, a city or a county, they have a map that's got color coding on it like this that lays out what can go in every single area of the city. And it tells you where different stuff can go. This one happens to be the one for Noblesville, where we're going to build our library. And this one you could actually look up on the internet and find the same map. And then this key down here tells us what each of these colors go with. This is kind of a blow up of the key, and you'll notice if you kind of look through this, some of these are single family suburban residential, so those are subdivisions, as compared to high density single family residence. That's probably like apartments, multifamily, that would be apartments, and this would be really dense subdivisions. And you can also see business, heavy industrial, all of these are laid out what can go where. So for example, this area here, those all look like really tight houses that are very close to each other. That's probably that dense single family. You can look up any city you want at one of these, and if you go through, you'll be able to find the information on it. And usually a city also uses the state's information in which they live. So they start with the state's building code, and they have to follow everything for the state, and then they add extra regulations on top of that. So for example, Noblesville, Indiana starts off with the Indiana Building Code 2014 edition. And overruling all of that is the IBC, the International Building Code. So IBC is at the top, that's the first thing we have to follow. Then we follow the states, then we follow whatever local thing there is. A couple of things we look at when we're looking items up on the IBC classification is we have to look at occupancy. We look at how many people are going to be using the building and what are they using the building for. And then there's different kinds of construction that we're going to look at depending on what kind of building we're talking about. So here's the list actually laid out by the IBC, and let's see. You can kind of look through these and see the different categories. Educational buildings, so those are schools, factories, storage buildings. You see these different classifications. And then the construction types. If you kind of look through this list of construction types, you'll notice up here, this one starts with non-combustible materials. This is concrete steel. And as you go down through this list, if you'll read all of it, we come down here to this is the least restrictive, where we can use anything we want to build. It's because this, as we go up this list, we have more fire resistance, and we need more time for people to evacuate in case of a fire. But as we go up this list, it also increases the cost of the construction of that place. Here's kind of a thing that kind of shows the different construction materials. Up here we have to have concrete encased steel. Here it's just steel. Why is this better for fires? Because in very hot buildings, in very hot fires, the steel will melt and it will crush. Here we have non-combustible exteriors in treated wood, and so on going down. For many of these categories, we also break it down into a 1A and a 1B. The 1A is basically a greater amount of fire resistance than the 1B. Okay, in the code, or in the ordinances, you're gonna find tables like this that give you fire resistance for various materials. For example, here on this solid brick of clay or shale, what this part means over here is that if I wanted to have fire resistance to withstand a 4-hour fire, I would need to have 6 inches of this material. If I only needed to be able to withstand 1 hour of a fire, I'd only need 2.7 inches of the material. Based on what kind of construction it is, will tell us what kind of fire we need to be able to withstand. When we're designing a building, we look at the number of stories and the area of each story, and then we also look at the building height, and that's going to tell us what kind of construction we need to use. That's it.